Ancient civilizations and their mysterious scientific achievements. Around 12,000 years ago, people started changing the way they lived. Instead of just moving around to find food, they began to farm, planting seeds and harvesting crops. This shift to agriculture meant they could store extra food, leading to the first food surpluses in history. With more food available, some people could focus on building up their communities, transforming small farming villages into bustling cities. They constructed impressive temples and palaces and explored new ideas in art, philosophy, and politics. This laid the groundwork for ancient civilizations and their fascinating scientific achievements. Let's explore these incredible developments together. Rediscovered knowledge and lost techniques. You might not remember everything you learned in school, right? Our memories fade over time, and if we don't keep practicing our skills, we can forget them completely. This isn't just true for individuals, it also applies to all of humanity. There's evidence that our ancestors had talents and knowledge that many of us don't have today. And this video will show you proof of that. Back in 2014, a team of archaeologists made an amazing discovery at a site called Faraj, located in Iran's Siamara Dam reservoir. They found a human-made water system that is over 5,000 years old. While the site is currently known as a dam, this modern structure is much newer. No one knew that it was built on top of an ancient waterway. But the old pipes are still visible today. It's not too surprising, considering that the ancient Persians were experts in building waterways and could create aqueducts long before the Romans did. This waterway isn't an aqueduct, but it is an impressive system of pipes that connect a small pool to the side of an old settlement over a long distance. The pipes were made from mud that was baked and shaped in an area. Now the archaeologists are in a race against time to excavate the entire pipeline before the new dam fills up and floods the ancient system. Fans of classic movies might recognize the Bocca della Verità, or the Mouth of the Truth, from the 1953 film Roman Holiday, which starred Audrey Hepburn and Gregory Peck. In the movie, this large, ancient stone is said to have the power to reveal lies. If someone places their hand inside the mouth of the sculpture and tells a lie, the mouth is supposed to snap shut and sever their hand. Some believe this story was invented for the film and that the stone is merely an ornate drain cover. But who would go to the trouble of carving the face of a sea god Oceanus on a simple drain cover? We like to believe the legends surrounding the 2,200-year-old marble disc, which say that the story in the movie is based on an ancient truth. Forget about Jerry Springer's lie detectors. This statue was sorting truth from lies long before Jerry was even born. Around 4,000 years ago, ancient Egypt saw the creation of a brand new pigment we now call Egyptian blue. This beautiful color was originally developed to decorate the crown on the famous bust of Nefertiti. We can't be sure if the chemists who created it understood what they were doing at the time, but this pigment is more than just a pretty shade of Egyptian blue. It can actually reduce energy, use and enhance solar energy output if applied correctly. In early 2020, a German research team even used Egyptian blue to create new nanosheets for infrared imaging. Its proper name is calcium copper silicate, and it's believed to be one of the first artificial colors made by humans. This stunning color was widely used during the New Kingdom to decorate everything from statues to sarcophagi. When a thin layer is taken from a grain of the pigment, it can create a nanosheet that is 100,000 times thinner than human hair. These sheets have properties ideal for optical imaging. Even the largest construction companies today would struggle to replicate Egypt's grand monuments. Yet we're expected to believe that the ancient Egyptians built them using basic hand tools. That seems unlikely. Many believe that they may have had powerful saws. The most convincing evidence of this comes from the sarcophagus inside the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The marks on the bottom of the box could only have been made by a saw, and it would have had to be a very large one. While we can't be sure what type of teeth the saw had, the evidence clearly shows that a saw was used. The Inca's agricultural marvels. The Inca site of Tapa is incredibly beautiful. In fact, it's so stunning that you might want to just stand back and admire it rather than think about how it was created. But right now, let's consider that question because science has never figured out who taught the Incas how to design and build an artificially irrigated garden. That's what Tapa is. While it looks like a magnificent monument, it serves as a practical purpose. Some historians believe that Tapa might not even be an Inca creation. They think it may have been left behind by an older, forgotten civilization, and the Incas simply discovered it and put it to use. The step design of the pond and its various wet and dry levels suggest it was a large-scale agricultural laboratory. Using Tapa, the Inca could experiment with different crops and determine which ones could thrive in various environments, helping them with their crop planting elsewhere. However, creating it required advanced knowledge of hydraulics, and we still don't know where that knowledge could have come from. Our next technological mystery might sound a bit strange, but it's mentioned in many places around the world, so it deserves a closer look. It's the legend of lamps that burn forever. Normally, no light source other than the sun should burn indefinitely, but there are stories from all over the globe of tombs containing lamps that were still lit when they were discovered, even thousands of years after being sealed. For example, Plutarch wrote that the lamp over the door of the temple in Egypt's Jupiter Ammon continued to burn despite wind and rain. Similar lamps have been reported at the Temple of Abdurbad in Armenia and the Temple of Apollo at Cyrene. There's even a story from England about a tomb sealed since the 4th century that was disturbed when the church above it was destroyed. Inside that tomb was a lamp that, as you might expect, was still burning. All of these lamps have been linked to natural gas sources found in rocks. But did our ancestors know a way to keep the flame alive forever? At the beginning of this video, we marveled at the ancient water system created by the Persians. Now let's look at an impressive one created by the ancient Chinese. It's the oldest dam-free irrigation system in the world. Its design is so perfect that it's still used to supply water to 50 cities in Sichuan province today, even after more than 2,200 years. The ancient architect behind this impressive irrigation system was Li Bing, a brilliant engineer who figured out that the Minjiang River flooded regularly due to melting snow from the mountains every summer. To tackle this issue, he carved channels straight through Mount Yuli, redirecting the water to Chengdu Plain. It took him 8 years to dig through the mountain, but that's nothing compared to the 2,000 years his work has endured. Li Bing clearly understood water and waterways better than anyone else of his time. Torquetum. Now let's shift our focus to a fascinating device that might look like a decorative piece for a desk, but is much more than that. Known as the Torquetum, this medieval marvel was identified and recorded by Greek scientist Ptolemy. The Torquetum can measure 3 different sets of astronomical coordinates: equatorial, ecliptic, and horizon. Once the measurements are taken, it can convert between these sets of data and calculate the relationship between them without needing any further input from the user. In simpler terms, it's a non-electric computer that requires no programming. Although Ptolemy was intrigued by the Torquetum, he didn't design it. It's believed it was created sometime between the 12th and 13th centuries. Unfortunately, no examples from that time still exist, but we do have some remarkable specimens from the 16th century and even a golden one from 18th century France. While the calculations it performs may seem basic today, they were nearly impossible during its time. In today's world, we're aware of our carbon footprint and the energy consumption of our devices. Energy-saving bulbs are seen as a more ethical choice, and we're reminded to turn off lights when we leave a room. Interestingly, we're not the first generation to think this way. In November 2015, archaeologists entered a tomb in Nanchang, China, and discovered that the nobleman buried inside had brought along a pair of 2,000-year-old adjustable lanterns. These lamps, shaped like geese and made of solid bronze, featured a primitive lamp inside. The shade protected the flame from the wind while also allowing the user to adjust the brightness of the light. But that's not all. These lamps had another feature that would feel familiar to modern buyers. Experts believe the fat, hollow bodies of the geese held water that dissolved soot and fumes. This served a cosmetic purpose to prevent dark stains on surroundings, but it was also an environmentally friendly solution. anatomical preservation, and ancient robotics. Let's take a moment to explore a rather eerie yet fascinating piece of technology deep beneath the chapel of Cappella San Severo in Naples, Italy. There are two remarkable artifacts known as anatomical machines. This is a rather fancy term for a pair of human bodies that have astonishingly preserved their entire circulatory system for over 200 years. The sight of these artifacts is both intriguing and unsettling, as they reveal the intricate details of human anatomy in a way few other displays can. The story behind them begins with Raimondo di Sangro, the former prince of San Severo. He was a rather eccentric figure, known only for his noble status but also his deep interest in both science and mysticism. Legend has it that he once invented a unique carriage pulled by a wooden horse that could supposedly cross bodies of water. While there is no evidence to support this bizarre claim, what remains undeniable is the astonishing work he left behind in the form of these preserved bodies. One of the biggest mysteries surrounding these anatomical machines is how exactly they managed to preserve the veins in such perfect condition. It is believed that he injected some kind of preservative into the bodies, which would make this one of the earliest examples of plastination. The preservation of these bodies challenges our understanding of what was possible in the past, hinting at advanced techniques that were used long before modern science. Now let's shift gears and consider a fascinating invention that predates the modern robot by centuries. When do you think the first working robot was created? You might assume it was within the last 100 years, but you'd be mistaken. One of the earliest known robots is a mechanical sculpture of a child created nearly 250 years ago. This invention was designed by a skilled watchmaker named Pierre-Jacques Desfacanzat. What makes this sculpture particularly extraordinary is its ability to write on its own. The statue can write up to 40 characters at a time and can write different words and sentences by changing some other 40 anterior cams. In layman language, this means the robot could be programmed, and this is something which we relate to technology nowadays. Despite its elegant design, it's a product of more than 6,000 individual components. This was quite a historic offense, as it, if anything, was ever perhaps the initial time that anyone had witnessed automated writing in motion. However, it wasn't the end of the invention. He also invented a mechanical musician and a mechanical draftsman. Today, most historians and enthusiasts of robotics regard as the father of robotics for his work on automation. Even though modern robots and automated machines are far from what he invented, Darrell's work serves as an example of how much potential mankind has and how much effort and work skilled hands can create. Do you ever think about how people preserve their food before the invention of refrigerators? During summer, when the sun was hot, you don't want your food to go bad. But in the old days, people had to be more creative. The answer is a rather fantastic invention called the yakchal. The yakchal is an extraordinary construction of Persian architecture built around 2,400 years ago. The name yakchal translates to ice bed in English, which gives us a strong hint about how these structures function. Picture this. Each yakchal was designed to rise to a height of approximately 60 feet. They were intended for storing food and preserving it from heat, including summer heat if necessary. The construction of the yakchal requires the use of water from nearby pools. The yakchal was designed with wind catchers, which are actually beneficial features that let the cool air flow inside. Maintaining a change in temperature, this mechanism was able to cool the water, whereby it consequently froze to form ice. This ice was important for keeping food from spoiling, although it was solely for keeping food fresh. Remarkably, to this date, if one ventures into any of the few remaining yakchal structures, one will find the interior astonishingly cold. In order to protect the content of the yakchal from heat, during the summer season, the outer walls of the building were covered with a layer of goat hair, clay, and egg white. Even if this method would have produced an undesired smell, it was a logistical approach towards ensuring the food did not rot. This creation is a clear testification of human ingenuity and the possibility to learn how to store foods even in the conditions when the temperatures are significantly higher than in parts of the world. In conclusion, ancient civilizations were full of remarkable inventions and ideas that shaped our world today. From advanced water systems to pigments, early robots, and ingenious food storage methods, these achievements show us the creativity and knowledge of our ancestors. As we continue to explore their stories, we gain a deeper appreciation for how far we've come and the mysteries that still surround our history. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing discoveries.